Hey, Steve Meonte here at a top secret location. You might be wondering, where has Steve been? Well, here's the truth. Back in August, I got encephalitis, which actually nearly killed me, put it like that. I had to have a 5-week intubation with a PIC tube and also a tracheotomy, and I survived that stuff. But with that said, I wasn't out going to the junkyard, let alone Barrett-Jackson. So the thing of it is, for the first 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I didn't have my cell phone nor my glasses when I was in the first rounds of treatment. So I pulled through it. I can still talk and walk and add and think about cars and get back to the junkyard soon. But until then, we're going to feature 1/25th scale station wagons to usher in a wagon week, whereas we're going to do all kinds of station wagons in metal, for real. And you might recall we did Truck Week about, last month, and you guys watched them. Thank you, and I'm thankful for all of the subscribers to the Steve Meggs YouTube channel, for sure. And once again, thank you for supporting the channel and watching those videos and commenting on them. So there's more coming up in Wagons Ho, or Wagon Week, and we'll start that in just a second. Let's start Wagon Week with one of the most popular cars of all time, the 57 Chevy. This is a 1/25th scale Chevy Bel Air station wagon. It's a 4-door wagon. It's not a Nomad. We'll get to that in a second. And this is actually from 1957. And it's probably likely this thing sat at a Chevy dealership and perhaps helped to persuade some kid to have his dad buy a new Chevy wagon. No kidding. They called these promotionals because they helped to promote the actual car line. These were not model kits. They weren't meant to be toys. But this one here is made by SMP. We can see right here on the bottom of it. SMP, that means Scale Model Products, which became AMT around 1960. So this is a very early one, but check it out. There's no detail underneath, but rather a metal plate and a little friction motor right there. So yeah, Junior could run this thing around the table and, enjoy it, but it's not really meant to be a model car. But with that said, AMT, about 3 years later, about 1960-61, released a nice 1/25th scale 57 Chevy model, which could be built as a gasser, the Pepper Shaker. Great model. It shares some of its genes with this promo, but the parts are not interchangeable. One thing that sucks about promos is they're made of acetate plastic. We can see right here that it's kind of warping, and especially around the bottom, where the body of the car kind of conforms around the metal frame. So that's one of the problems with acetate and old promos before 1961 or 62, when polystyrene took over. Now this model is also noteworthy for the hubcaps. These look like 57 Thunderbird hubcaps, which is what they are. AMT and SMP also did 57 T-Bird models, and they, for whatever reasons, reused the wheel and tire combination on a Chevy from a Ford. So it's kind of one of those things. They were playing fast and loose, but these are very popular. This is probably worth, maybe $40, $50 at the most. It's not mint by any stretch. The windows are loose, so it's been played with. But this is probably part of the reason why so many 57 Chevy wagons were sold, is because of toys like this and their impact on mom and dad's buying decisions. Pretty cool. Let's pick it up with an AMC product. Moving up 3 years from 1957 in the Chevy Bel Air station wagon, this is 1960 and a Rambler Classic station wagon right here. Now this is a different kind of model. This is also a promo. It's not a kit. It's not meant to be glued together by a kid. There's no engine detail. Rather, it's just a flat plastic plate. And like the Chevy, it also has a friction motor, but instead of a metal spur gear, it's a plastic one. It wasn't very good on the color. There's a piece of flash right there, which kind of sucks if you're trying to use this thing. But the thing about this is basically also acetate plastic, so it's warping, which is what these things do. They call it the Johan smile because they tend to, stress relieve themselves. And then, but beautiful detailing. The engraving on the grille is really top notch, which is classic Johan stuff. They did a good job on the body as well. The wheels, really nice compared to that AMT stuff. These are just so realistic, and the Rambler logo in the middle of the hubcap. But this is a beautiful little model car. And again, this is also a dealer promotional, which means that a AMC dealer, a Rambler dealer, probably had a whole row of these things in different colors. And they could point out to Mr. and Mrs. USA what color to choose, and little Junior would help them to select the color they wanted. Now this is kind of cool here. This is promotional stuff that went with it. This is Rambler, your Rambler dollar for 1960. And here it is, sold originally, this thing given away by Charles Lamanche, or whatever it is there, Green Street, Syracuse, New York. And this is the whole thing right here. Your Rambler dollar goes farther. There it is, right there. And this is a promotional, once again, what better way to get people's interest spurred than to do things like these, promotionals and the promotional model. Speaking of which, let's open this thing up and have a quick peek at the colors inside. Here's the Rambler Ambassador, which was actually a larger wheelbase, but otherwise a similar car to the Classic, which we're looking at here. But these were the top-notch cars. They could be had with a 327 V8. That's the AMC V8. The Ambassador, longer wheelbase, would kind of maybe take on Chevrolet, perhaps even Pontiac. And this one here is the Rambler 1960, the custom. And we go further down, and we can see right here a couple of cool wagons. And room for 6 people, actually 8 with a third seat option. And these are pretty cool. Look at this, single headlights on this one here. You're paying another $12 for dual headlights. In 1958 and 59, you could actually get a single headlight or the quad headlights we see over here. So that's kind of, if you're really on a budget or a cheapskate, you would want to get this one here with only 2 headlights. And these could be had with a 6-cylinder engine, an aluminum block 6-cylinder engine, 195 cubic inches. But this is kind of cool right here. Once again, a little friction toy for Junior to roll around the salesroom table as Mom and Dad try to hash out the final details on the big purchase of a Rambler for 1960. Okay, let's move on to something that's not quite a toy, not quite a model. What could it be? It's an SSP. This is something a little different. This is an SSP. What? It's all smashed up. This is like what happens to a model car after Junior gets done with it on the 4th of July. Well, this is intentionally distressed. We can see right here the fenders and the quarter panels and the roof are smashed in. This is actually by a company called Kenner. And this is the SSP, Supersonic Power. It's also part of the Smash Up Derby set, which included this 57 Nomad and a 57 Ford Fairlane. And if you look at those kits, these models, if you compare these to like a 57 Revell Nomad or the 57 Chevy, or 55 Chevy, you can see a lot of the same traits and shapes and stuff. So basically, it's clear that a little bit of industrial espionage was going on at Kenner. Now, Kenner, of course, is a division of General Mills Fields Group, and this is the wheel right here. There's a weighted middle wheel that you pull a little ripcord through the roof, and it goes right in here, and you zzz, and this thing shoots down the street and gets smashed into whatever else. But it's part of a thing called the Smash Up Derby set. And I wonder how many kids went home with their Smash Up Derby model and destroyed their rare Johan and IMC and MPC models, pretending them to be Smash Up Derbies. Now, these are made out of a very high durability vinyl type plastic, so they can go smash, you can bash them and crash them without really destroying them. But it's kind of weird to think that this is a Chevy Nomad that they chose to render. This is not a Nomad, but rather this is a Bel Air. You can see the difference in the roof line. The Nomad is a 2-door, got a unique roof wrapped around rear glass, whereas the Bel Air was basically a utilitarian car. These things did not outsell these. These were much more expensive, almost the price of a Corvette back in 1955, 6, and 7 when the Nomad was in production. And here it is, 57, the final year for the Nomad as a 2-door Tri-5 Chevy. So that's our wrap-up of big wagons for this particular model car. 1/25th scale stuff, which I can easily handle. Going back to the junkyard, we will get there. But right now I just have to sort of continue to convalesce, so I can run through the junkyards once again. And we can bring Lockjaw out of hiding and put him back to work where he belongs. And of course, we know that Queen Katie of Berniston will join us when we get back into the junkyard. And before we cut this, I want to thank Mike Joy and his son, and also Rick DeBrule and Tyler Hoover of Hoovy's Garage for their support and help with these projects. And Mike Joy's son, Scott Joy, he's a sharp kid. Thanks again, everybody who's watched the channel and kept the lights on. Thanks, we'll be back with more.